Yo, welcome to the Hive Hustle, the captivating podcast about street culture, dance, whatever they're out there that has motivated me, pushed me to the next level, and really given me my identity.
It's official now. The Hive Hustle podcast about to sit you down. Go and fix your crown. This ain't a grain of salt. Pick your brain and thoughts. Even through a major loss, still remain a boss.
So I got a great guest today. Man, this dude, like for real, in the past like 2 years, I've gotten to know him really well, and he's just really blown my mind. Great friend, great dancer, mover, Jesse Sykes.
What's good? What's good?
What up, man?
Come on.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
you.
me, man, or allowing me to have you. Let's just get started.
Let's get into it, man.
All right. Who is Jesse Sykes? What makes you you? And start from the beginning.
Man, I knew you were going to set up some crazy questions. We're diving in. Jesse Sykes is striving to be an authentic, genuine human whilst pushing everyone around him to be better, to grow. Jesse Sykes is a hustler in both strong and gentle ways. Jesse Sykes is both grace, but also structure, concrete. I am a multifaceted human that just really loves life, is passionate about life, is passionate about serving others, and passionate about my purpose on this planet, you know? And so for me, I'm living in my truth, and I truly know who Jesse Sykes is. So in essence, Jesse Sykes is 31 and a half years carved out, seeking sort of this sense of identity, and once found unapologetically navigating his surroundings.
Okay. Born in Salt Lake City?
No, born in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's something new.
Yeah, something
Hey,
new.
we learning.
Yeah.
So born in Corpus Christi, Texas. They would message me. Born in Corpus Christi, Texas. When did you get to Utah?
Oh, man. So
This is going to be a funny episode.
this is. So I grew up an Air Force brat. So my father served 40 plus years in the Air Force, which is incredible.
Okay.
So because of that, we actually lived all over the states. We ping-ponged from Texas to New Mexico to as far as Alaska, eventually landing in Utah.
Okay.
So born in Corpus Christi, spent a little time there, and then my dad got orders. So that kind of started the 2 to 4 year refresh. And I would say that I personally still rep Utah. I grew up most of my life there. We moved there when I was younger. I was 10, I believe, when we actually got there. So transitioned from Alaska to Utah, grew up there. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I know the best.
Yeah.
That's where my most core memories come from. So
Yes.
I still rep Utah through and through. But no one really knows that I'm originally from Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got the inside
Yeah,
scoop,
we got
y'all.
the inside.
Now, quick question. Where did street dance come into play? Or dance in general? Because obviously you're not just a street dancer.
Yeah.
You're technically trained too?
Yeah.
Okay. So where did dance come from? Was it studio first? Was it street first? Like, I know this is a lot of questions, but I want to dive deep.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was kind of in a way following in the footsteps of my older brother James. I'm the youngest of 5, all boys.
Wow.
And
All
I know-
boys?
God bless my mother.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, God bless my mom.
Only
She
woman in
held
the
it
house.
down. Yeah. But my brother James was really into R&B,
Okay.
neo soul, hip hop, and so he was mimicking Usher. He was big fan of B2K. Like he was always, introducing me.
And he's your
to,
older one, right?
He's my older brother.
Was he
yeah.
like the oldest?
No, he's the middle child.
Okay.
Middle child,
But he was
yeah.
like the one that you like really, really vibed with?
Yeah, growing up, he was probably the closest to me.
Okay.
We shared a lot of the same interests, and in a way, I'm just looking at him also as his younger brother. Like I kind of like had that that role model, that
Yeah.
idol in him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
That's the first big homie.
That's the first big homie, right? And he was the type of person to like be really immersed within the arts. He sang, he danced, was always around something, some function, some party, he was always at the club, always, you know, getting down. And you know, I would see him dance, and I also had this natural, innate connection to music through my parents. Both my parents, my mother's side being Puerto Rican, culturally, music was a big part of everything. But then my father was a singer too, which is where my brother gets his talent. So being around those three specifically kind of cultivated an environment where I was around music. I was around movement, right? So whenever my mom and her sisters, her side of the family would come over, we were exposed to her culture. And then whenever my brother would get back from the club, he'd be moonwalking, he'd be throwing the U chain around, he'd be mimicking, he'd be doing all of that, right? And I was around it. I was interested. I had that bounce. I had that innate feeling to it. But it wasn't actually until Utah, which is ironic because the culture isn't extremely diverse there, but we just so happened to stumble across something beautiful, a gem. I found street dance, not in a studio, not at a session, nothing planned. I found street dance in the streets. Utah, throughout my upbringing, throughout my growth in the community there's this beautiful, beautiful event called Funk Night. Okay. And Funk Night was on Tuesdays downtown at the Salt Lake City Library, and a variety of DJs would spin, and dancers of all styles, all walks of life would just come get down. And it was outdoors. It was a vibey-ass session. And I remember we were venturing out to Salt Lake City, just getting to know Utah a little bit better, me and my family. And we stumbled across Funk Night. And I see one man in the cypher, and that's all it took. Robot Rob. Robot Rob is one of our, yeah. It's interesting because he's not much older than we are, so he's technically not OG, but in a way we look at him as an OG because he was one of the first to really.
A lot of y'all on.
Yeah.
That's like for real to me. He's like a couple years older than me, but that's the big homie.
Yeah, and just the love for the craft, the passion was there. I see Rob doing this crazy animation set in the middle of this cypher. Following up, I see Micah Clark. Shout out to Micah Clark. I see Devon McCullough. Okay. I see E Boogie. I see like a bunch of the Utah heads like just getting down, and I don't know anyone at this point. The only person I knew at this point was someone up north named Murphy Yang, and he was dancing too, but I mean, these were just friends, like normal, regular friends that I had. Then I stumble across these superheroes. I see Rob animate one time, and I'm just like, yo, that 15-year-old inside of me is just like
tripping.
I'm tripping, and I'm like, I see my brother kind of mimic this shit, but this is the real deal. Like I'm witnessing hip hop culture in front of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm witnessing funk culture in front of me. I'm seeing this lovely exchange in the cypher. I'm witnessing a real cypher for the first time. I bug everybody. I'm like, you know what? I need to be around this. There was a calling there immediately from like my center of my chest. It was like I was magnetized to it, right? And Rob was so cool, like the coolest dude ever. He just goes, you know, yeah, man, this is what we just get down, and if you come.
It's official now, the Hive Hustle podcast about to sit you down. Go and fix your crown. This ain't a grain of salt. Pick your brain and thoughts, even through a major loss. Still remain a boss. Resonate with greatness. Celebrate creators. Ain't no blanket statements. Elevate and claim it. So amazed, I'm making the way for those in need. Mold the lane, showing change in the growing me.
Like, you'll learn just from watching. He's like, I'm not a teacher. I ain't gonna teach you, but you'll learn here. And he just, you know, kind of in a way invited me in. And was like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, but we all know this dance, so come vibe. Yeah. And that was like my actual introduction into street dance. It was like literally kind of just jumping off the diving board straight in. And the Utah community really kind of just made space for me immediately, which was really, really beautiful. And then that feeling continued to be a conductor, and that led me into other paths within my dance. being essentially from Utah and born into that Utah community, I found myself really venturing out into other lanes, really wanting to hone in because I felt the love from the community of the street dancers, and I knew there was more. I knew there was more. So naturally, like me being sort of this extremely passionate and fully immersive sort of person, like I want to do the diligence to learn and to respect the culture and to respect the traditions and to learn and be present in it. So I went head first, and naturally that led me into the other spaces that I
Gotcha.
occupied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Utah. Now, when you met Robot Rob, how old were you?
I was 15 at that time.
Really?
Yeah. So I started
16 years ago.
Yeah.
Because you're 31 now.
I'm
right?
31 now. Yeah, correct.
Wow. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Teenage years, you're just exploring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, were there any performances, dancers specifically, like that left a lasting impact on you? Maybe a performance of your own.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody that you've seen besides Robot Rob, because obviously you talked about
Right,
that.
right.
But this one, like that made you want to pursue it as a career.
Yeah, man. So many. I mean, the Utah community, especially at this time, was quite slept on. It was like just a bunch of gems just chilling together and not
Yeah.
really expanding outside of Utah, which was amazing because when I initially got exposed to the culture and started kind of like implementing myself deeper into its roots, I started realizing how special the community was.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people like Micah Clark, Josh Eunice, even E Boogie, people that were starting to kind of get booked for their passion,
Okay.
you know. And so I start seeing them, you know, create a living off of it. They're teaching classes, they're hosting events, throwing battles, right?
Yeah.
And I start realizing that there's this, that there's this duality to it where you could make it a career. It's not just like you could choose to just do it for the pure joy, but you could also make a career out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to meet through Micah, through Josh, through some of these key players, B-Boy Perkins, B-Boy Tex, Josh Perkins too. I'm starting to meet all these key players, and they're starting to introduce me to people. I'm starting to go to battles. I'm starting to realize that there's more to it. It's
And
expanding.
About what year, how old were you?
I mean, I immediately started going. So
Really?
even
So
in that
15
first
years
year,
old.
I was like, tell me where I need to be.
Okay.
I was at that point where I was just kind of like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm not just going to hold back. I was bugging my dad for rides at first, initially to every single funk night. Then that turned into Thursday nights was house night. Then it turned into Friday nights were session nights at different studios.
So a couple nights a week.
Couple nights a week turned into 7 days a week real quickly.
Makes sense.
And so I was getting myself super integrated, and as that was happening, I was starting to realize, since the community was quite vast and there was many different ways of going about it, I met people like Jeffrey Louisia, was on Odyssey Dance Theater.
Okay.
And he has a stable career as not only a hip-hop dancer but also a classically trained dancer.
Gotcha.
So he's now I'm looking at him and I'm like, wow, this man has, a family. This man has, like a nice whip. And this guy's like, I'm looking at more of like, wow, you can make this a living.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey was one of those first people, and seeing even some of these street dancers like Micah really like get booked and get paid to judge, paid to teach, made me realize like that with the work, with the respect for the culture and being fully immersed in it, that I could make it a career.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, not even necessarily looking at anything beyond. I was keeping my radar strictly Utah.
Yeah.
Because I had, like I said, I had these gems everywhere. I didn't have to outsource. And then as I'm growing, I'm getting, more integrated into crews. I'm now in a crew called Ensoul at this time. I'm in another crew called Boogie Tex a few months later. I'm around dancers that are like pursuing it, And Estevan gifted us the most beautiful thing. He brought Boogie Frantic to Utah.
I remember that.
That alone.
Yeah.
And then following up Boogie Frantic, he brought Pop and Todd.
Yeah.
Those two
I remember, yeah.
single-handedly then shifted the level for me. realizing there's masters out there, like true masters, people that you can tell they've got their grit, they've got their skin in their game, and they've been doing it. So seeing someone like a Frantic, seeing someone like a Todd, then starting to realize like some of these judges that are coming in are like from Cali, from LA, from New York, from places where it was being cultivated from the start, the birthplaces, right? And I'm sitting here realizing like, yo, I need to get out. So as soon as I saw Frantic, as soon as I saw Todd, I was like, there's levels to this shit. There's such like deep levels to this shit that I started traveling more. And I remember there was a pivot point for me that I realized that I could do this as a career based off of level, based off of skill and how much love I have for it. I came down ironically here to Vegas.
Really?
2012 Vegas Shakedown.
Oh, I remember that event.
I was training popping, bro. I was a couple years in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you know what? Estevan and Third Degree and a few of the poppers from Utah that we were labbing. But granted, we didn't know shit. You know, we'd been exposed to Utah. We come down, we caravan down to Shakedown. I swear there's like 30 Utah heads here because a bunch of people entered the 3v3 B-boy category.
Yep.
I remember.
Vegas Shakedown was a really, really like pivotal event for Vegas dance.
Legendary, right? And so I come down, and this is so funny. I enter this popping battle being like still a novice in the game, you know what I'm saying? But knowing that there's levels to it and knowing like I need to start traveling, I need to start getting out. So it was kind of like, in a way, my idea to be like, yo, pack the car. We're going to this event. I don't know anything. I don't know who's going to be there. We're probably all going to get smoked. But I want to pursue this. I want to pursue this. I want to follow this dream, right? I want to take that lesson, right? Yeah. And I come down, I'm surrounded by legends. That year specifically, Junior Boogaloo, Slim Boogie, Chase Smooth, Frantic, Nicodemus, Tin Man, Heartbreak. You know, like I come in and I'm just like, whew, this is a stacked room. And I'm watching all these gods to me at this time. And I'm like, man, this is insane. I enter the battle and I make top 16 somehow. Guess who I get first round?
What?
Big fucking Heartbreak. And he beats me up, like destroys me.
Well, I love Heartbreak to death. I feel like he's hitting his second prime now. But
Yeah.
2012 was his prime.
That was deadly time.
Like, I think if I'm not mistaken, that year he won HHI too.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So like that was a year that you wasn't messing with. You wasn't messing with Heartbreak.
No, man.
Between 2012 and 2015,
he
was unstoppable.
He gave me a workshop mid battle.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, mind you, I was in 2009. I was in a living room, kitchen, labbing with him.
Yeah.
So I know.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's really beautiful to see him coming back and obviously just recently won R&BEES 2023, right? And it's crazy because him and I talk about that moment all the time. We talked about it at the event. You know what I'm saying? And so like being around these professionals, these people that were like really in the culture, it made me so damn hungry, bro. From that point, that battle single-handedly shifted the way that I viewed myself as an artist, how I viewed the community, getting like real exposure to people from all over, all kind of this melting pot of Vegas at this event, even watching the B-boys too. You know, I watched everything. I was learning as much as I could. I didn't want to leave. I was loitering like a motherfucker this whole event.
If I'm not mistaken, that was right around the time the district opened.
Yeah.
Because they just hit 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's when I was teaching Crump at district, and that's 2012 or 2013 is when they had the 7 to Smoke in their anniversary.
Yep.
And I battled Larry from the Les Twins, and I beat him.
Yeah, I remember that too.
So I understand, like what you're talking about is crazy to me, because you're talking about somebody that literally had no clue what the culture was. Yeah. Came and saw a couple people dancing and immediately gets inspired.
Right.
That's insane to me, because I grew up around this.
Yeah, true.
Like I was 11 years old at the skating rink watching people roller skate.
Yep.
Because we had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
There was people going to Circus on the Strip back in the early 90s, battling at Circus.
That's crazy.
Like, to see the difference in cultures from where you live and where you grow up.
Right.
and how you can be introduced to street culture.
Yeah.
This culture is life-changing, man.
It really is.
So now we talked about Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's your roots.
Yeah.
That's where you learned a lot of what you learned. What made you move to Vegas?
Ooh.
And what do you notice differently about Salt Lake City scene and Vegas scene? And how do you feel about it?
So blessed with the many opportunities that I've had in this game. Because from that point forward, from Shakedown, that fire was lit, and I worked harder than anybody. I outworked everybody. All the people I was losing to, the tides turned, all the battles. I started teaching. I started, I joined Odyssey Dance Theater for a little while. I was realizing too, creating platforms is really important, right? Hosting sessions, creating space, being more connected to my crews more than ever, just being fully in it. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, I took this dense time, like maybe 5 to 7 years to just train. Utah was such a beautiful place because not only did it allow me to have balance when it comes to
Welcome to the show, let us all begin. Introduce a new approach to evolve and win.
to environment, because Utah is a gorgeous place.
Yeah.
But it also allowed me to cocoon because the community's not as big, and we had to sort of outsource from that point to bring people in and or travel to events.
Yeah.
Utah gave me this kind of like hyperbolic time chamber, if you will. I was able to go and curate a healthy practice for myself, right? So then that led into moving to LA for a little while. That led into I lived in Colorado for a little while. That moved into I spent some time in the Pacific Northwest for a while. That led into moving to New York for a little while. Really getting to the point to where I was extremely nomadic because I was seeking the culture. And I wanted to learn from people that, one, were pioneering or pioneers, OGs, or just even like to gain new information through the experience of traveling, through the culture of traveling, and bringing it back to Utah, right? I got to this point where I started getting booked more often because I was active in it. I was present in it. I was growing, right? And through that nurturing and through the passion and the honesty being there and the respect being there, people saw me, and I thought that was really beautiful, and it's such a blessing, such a privilege. So as I started working more and started realizing that 9 out of 10 jobs didn't come from Utah. You know what I'm saying? And realizing like, damn, I gave up on college, even though I could have got a scholarship with soccer. I gave up on sports, athletic as well. I gave up sports entirely at one point. So during that upbringing, I was also playing sports, trying to figure out what's for me, trying it all. You know what I'm saying?
Like when you first met Robot Rob, you were probably playing
I was dense in soccer.
In high school.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so I got to this point to where I'm like, man, if this is what it is, if I am going to be a dancer, a professional dancer, I need to travel and seek it. I was doing that. Always bringing it home, always trying my best to give it back to the community and, sort of be that conductor for others. And I started realizing like I needed to be somewhere geographically that made more sense for me, right? So prior to the pandemic, I lived here. I moved in with Reset, shout out to Hybrid's crew. And
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I came out here I came out for the magic show. Masters of Illusion at Bally's.
I remember that. Okay, now. Okay.
So I got a taste of what Vegas was like. Okay. Granted, I was more locked down with the show. I was still able to go to all the functions, go to all the battles, go to all of this, right? Seeing legends, seeing the Vegas community and the level, being like literally further in it, right? So fast forward to now, it was calling to me because I knew what it was like here. granted, I would have actually been here sooner if the pandemic didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
And so I knew I wanted to be somewhere where I had not only geographically put myself somewhere where I could thrive as an artist.
Yeah. Because Vegas has an international airport.
Exactly.
You can get anywhere and everywhere from. So, I'm not even gonna call it Harry Reid. Fuck Harry Reid. Forget Harry Reid. Sorry, YouTube. It's McCarran Airport to me.
It is.
It will
to me
always
as well,
be
and I'm not
McCarran
even from here.
I'm sorry. I grew up out here. It's never gonna be Harry Reid Airport to me.
Ever.
So I'll make my own link on Instagram and put McCarran. I don't care.
That's so amazing,
But
bro.
yes, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense to be out here because obviously you're in the center of it all.
Yeah.
And Vegas is low key becoming an epic center, man. Like we're literally the new LA.
Yeah.
The
100%.
The Aces have a team,
Yep.
a dance team.
Yep.
The Knights have the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Which half of the dancers that were in hip hop crews are now cheerleaders.
They're there, yeah.
There's hella shows.
Yep.
Like there's so many different shows you could be a part of.
Right.
On top of that, like just the community, Bougie Block, all the events. Like I think this summer we've had probably like 15 events.
Yeah, if not more.
Probably more.
Crazy.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
So ultimately, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, biggest question I feel is out of this whole interview to me.
Yeah.
Share a memorable moment, like a memorable moment of your early days as a freestyle dancer, right? Was there no. Actually, my apologies. Talk about challenges. I need to hear while you were pursuing dance.
Right.
Obviously, the gigs didn't just come.
Right.
So how did you balance the ability to be a freelance dancer in a
Right.
sense,
Right.
and still make a living, and still like have to be mentally prepared, mentally ready?
Yeah.
How did you overcome them? Like, how did you overcome your challenges, and what were some of the challenges that you had?
Right. I mean, especially that transition point where you decide that it's a career.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you start to have that calling into your career field in general, and that transition where it's like, wow, I want to figure out a way where I can keep this pure, but I can make this passion into something that can sustain my lifestyle, that I can have the things that I desire in life, and which isn't a lot, you know, but have the things that really can create balance in my life while still pursuing this. That was my biggest challenge, is the transition point from working normal 9-to-5s and becoming an entrepreneur and understanding the business side of it, right? And understanding that the business side of it also is okay. I think that was a big challenge for me.
Bro, I'm so glad you said that. I'm not cutting you off or
No,
anything,
you're good,
but
you're good.
people don't understand business.
Yeah, right.
If I can learn anything from being in the building that we're in,
Yeah,
coming from where I came from in 2018, living downtown, Ubering for a living, trying to make ends meet,
right.
doing downtown gigs, paying
Yeah.
$50
Yep.
because of whatever reason that they didn't have the budget. But it's worth it.
Yes.
And if you get your business right and you do right by people, keep your side of the street clean, like treat people with respect.
Yeah.
Because if anybody knows, I know. Like I've had instances where I've had problems.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And since I've gotten it right and I've made sure I communicate effectively, over communicate if you can,
Yep.
it's changed everything.
Everything.
That's why I have what I have now.
Right,
Because
right.
I was able to go through that.
Yeah.
So yeah, continue. Speak on that, man.
Yeah,
Speak on the
it's so
challenges.
interesting. It's so interesting because part of you starts and the root is so pure, right? And you want to, especially because at the core of it, we're guests in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It's
part
hard
of
for us even to accept a dollar because it's not our culture.
And naturally also seeing the leaders in my community that I came from, and even communities that I'm traveling to right now, give so much.
Yeah, literally.
And ask for nothing in return. Like, who am I to ask for something, ask for a resource, right?
It's hard.
It's hard. It's like there's two sides of it, right? But for me, the challenge was, one, to decide and 2 to commit, and 3 to understand that it's okay. And while I'm in that, understanding that those resources, I view them just as energy. If I'm able to sustain and balance my energy, I'm able to produce energy. So it's circular. And in that, meaning, if you pay me $100 for a private lesson, that $100 is going to go into me studying as well. I'm a student in this through and through, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in service. That's the biggest thing, is my business is a service.
Yeah.
It's not about me. And so realizing that and kind of honing in on what I represent and how that authenticity creates real impact, right? And there's kind of like this energy surrounding that will keep that going, right? And that's resource. And so transitioning into a business, realizing my own worth, and how by even though this money is circular and it's going to come back into the culture always.
Yeah.
I'm always going to pay my mentors.
Yeah.
I'm going to always, donate my time at events,
Yeah, of
do
course.
things for free, learn about other aspects of the culture. Like I'm picking up emceeing, I'm doing like different things to just always give back, and understanding too, though, like I need to have something on my plate so I can give back input and output.
Yep.
Yeah, so being able to overcome challenges always helped me grow closer to who I am in this, right? And keeping that pure to the best of my ability has always been the biggest challenge, right?
Gotcha.
Because I don't want my head to inflate. I am pretty damn good about keeping level-headed. Thank you to my parents. Thank you to my community, my peers, the people that are really in, at the grassroots level, really teaching me. I'm still learning. I'm still a baby in this. You know what I'm saying? And I think like those are the biggest challenges that I constantly face. Is like I do also understand that when I determine my worth, I'm setting that up for the next generation too.
Yeah.
In 5 generations, our dancers will be paid properly. Artists will
Exactly.
be paid properly.
Hopefully it's sooner.
And hopefully sooner than that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you just mentioned something. So you had the support of your family.
Yeah.
Now, that's a big thing.
Right.
Because obviously you're 31.
Yep.
So what? 92?
Yeah.
Okay. You were born in 92. Obviously you were raised early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because you were, what, 10 in 2002?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. I was a sophomore in high school.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Shh. I didn't do that. But family and support play a crucial part
Yeah.
in any artist's journey.
Right.
So, like, was your family always supportive? Or, like, when you told them to pursue dance? Because my mom, when I told her I wanted to be an artist,
Yeah.
literally was like, you need to go to college. And I hated it. I hated school. Like,
Right.
I hate taking choreography classes.
Yeah.
So in general, like, that's why I book privates. That's why the only way I can learn best is one-on-one.
One-on-one.
Whenever I had a tutor in school, it was amazing. I learned quick as heck.
Yeah.
But I hate class settings.
Right.
I don't know if it's an anxiety or what. So it really messed me up when it came to
Yeah.
college or doing anything school-wise. I learned online very well.
Right.
So how did your family take you wanting to be a dancer as a career?
Yeah, that's interesting. So especially coming
And this
from
is the
a
last
military
question.
family.
So
Yeah, especially being a military
that
family.
had to play a huge part.
Now, youngest of 5 once again, all boys. My 3 oldest brothers are all in branches of the military. So think
So
about
you're
that for a
fourth.
second. I'm
Or-
5th. I'm the baby.
So you're the baby.
I'm the baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they already military.
Military. Yeah.
And then your
And
older
then
brother
my
is,
brother right above me, and
was he the artist one?
We're the 2 different.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he set the tone.
He kind of set the tone. His name's Corey. He is a phenomenal artist. Draws. He writes movie scripts. He does
Okay.
video game development.
Very,
like
yeah.
varied within his artistry.
Okay.
Um,
Man, I've always wanted to
yeah.
develop games.
Oh, so cool.
I could develop
So cool.
apps, I could develop websites,
builds the
but
stories,
I gotta
the
get that's
characters,
the crazy
all of
part.
it. Yeah.
And see, like UI design is different than
Yeah.
building a storyline.
Right.
Okay, continue.
So my parents kind of got a taste of allowing him to make his own choices, right? So then they kind of almost in a way I had it kind of like an alley-oop. But the biggest thing for my father specifically was he wanted to know that I'd be good, that I could provide for myself, that I could
as any parent would
any
want.
parent would want, right? You know, he was big on keep a job while you're pursuing this. Don't lose that job because of this. And once you're gonna get to that point to where you can transition, he's like, lose the job.
Yeah.
He's
but,
like, because
and do it right.
And do it right. He's like, there should be some harmony there when you transition. It shouldn't just be like you're dropping everything, moving to LA with $5 in your pocket and just going for it. He's like, that's not for everyone. He was aware of that. What it took, to be honest, was them coming to watch me perform and it's seeing in my eyes.
You know what's crazy? I'm not cutting you off or anything, but same here. Crazy part is two totally different upbringings, right?
Yeah, backgrounds.
My background is straight street. Like, I grew up in the hood, bro.
Yeah.
And my mom, when she seen me perform on Ellen when I was 17 years old, I came back from Bakersfield, California.
Yep.
Because they paid for everything. I was roller skating on Ellen before YouTube was even a thing.
That's crazy.
I tell people all the time, I have a major background in performing.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't like doing it no more.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
tell people all the time, inform, not perform.
Yeah.
I need to show you who I am. I don't want to make you feel good.
You guys catch that?
Ooh, I'm gonna use that as a video for sure.
That's crazy.
But like I said, my mom saw me on Ellen. She's like, okay, you can do this.
Right.
And she supported me ever since.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy. They just got to see it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where, especially because your parents, like, they know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you've let them in. I've been real, like, open with my family in all experiences, right? So my dad also knows where I am and knows where I am while I'm moving. Yeah. And then for him to actually see it and for him to feel it and to have my mother feel it, that's all it took. Yeah. And also one thing that was really, really special that helped them believe in it even further was them experiencing community, because they come, like I said, my father comes from a singing background. All his brothers sing. He sings. My mother comes from beautiful Puerto Rican family. They're around the culture. Yeah. They're my parents are from Brooklyn. You know, so like they grew up in hip hop. You know, so for them to come to events, like they still come to events. Yeah. They'll go to events if I'm not even in Utah. I'll send them flyers and they'll pull up and support other homies. They're so about it because they almost are reminded of their childhood through it. So they see, you know, I come into the room, I perform, they see the passion in motion, and then they see the people supporting one another, uplifting one another, and they're like, damn, this is better than any career that he could choose. Because the only other thing that they saw that I would be able to have that same camaraderie and fellowship in was sports, but they saw that I was tied to sports for a while, but then they saw me releasing those reins to make room for art, like and dance, and they realized they're kind of one and the same, and I could still have like a healthy mind, body, and soul in both aspects. So my dad was just like, the choice is yours. I've seen you perform in both, and I see you're alive. You're truly living in both. That's all that matters to me at this point. He's like, now just make sure that you move in a way where you can sustain that, you can make that last longer. So even going back to the question about Vegas and like being here, that was something too that he pushed me towards. You know, he's like, be somewhere where you can thrive, where that passion can have the support. Yeah,
financially. Man, well, this has been great.
It's been amazing.
Like street culture and dance, graffiti, hip hop, crumb. They change people's lives. Yeah. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, because people don't know us as humans.
Right.
And they don't understand that we have to go home and lay down too. We have to go home and rest too. We have to live day to day. And especially people with like, you're a dude that literally lives this and breathes this. Yeah. So it's like, and not only that, you're available. There's a lot of people with your type of following or your type of, I would say, legendary presence, because I personally believe that about you. Like, you really have a presence when you walk in the room.
I appreciate it.
But like you said, you keep your head on a swivel, and you make sure that you're present and you're right there,
absolutely,
in the moment. And there's not a lot of people that can do that, man.
Right.
So first and foremost, thank y'all. If y'all made it to the end, this was probably a little bit longer one, but it's okay. I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm gonna keep doing these. I got many people on the rap to do it. Subscribe, put that notification bell up, like the video so I can get in the algorithm. And this is Jesse Sykes, y'all. Artist, human, mover, dancer, creative, entrepreneur. Have a good one. We'll see y'all next one.
Peace out.